Hey, how you doing today? All right, so I want to make a longer video. This is going into the videos playlist, not the shorts. So on some of my last videos I made, I left off in 2017 where I was working. I quit hauling gas. I started working for a temp agency delivering food. I was unable to do that because of some of the reefer issues, and I found out later that the exhaust, the regen systems in the trucks were hurting me and stuff like that. So, and I was having issues mowing grass. I was getting chest pain and nerves in my chest mowing grass. I mean, I just had a lot going on. Sudden shortness of breath episodes, just, and they're neurological, But it's been tough living with this brain damage deteriorating, and every day I'm able to do less and less and less. I'm so thankful for the good days, and I thank God for every day, because it's not possible without Him. Every day is a gift, no matter how bad life gets. And this life is not the end. If you've ever accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, I would encourage you to do so, because no matter how hard your situation is, it's not the end. If you've ever accepted Jesus Christ and put your faith in Him, and that He died for you and He rose from the grave on the third day, you're made right with God. You have peace with God through Jesus Christ, and there's none other. So, all right, so I want to go into my explanation for my exposure. I had survey questions that came from the toxicologist I reached out to at Poison Control. In January, I reached out to Poison Control, and this is what I had to say to them, and I'll let you know how that went. All right, so 1/25/2017. I started hauling gas on 1/6/2014 for a local company in Northeast Ohio called the Keenan Advantage Group. I enjoyed what I did for a living as long as it provided well for my family and I. A typical work day would consist of 3 to 4 loads of gasoline and diesel fuel. I would load and unload approximately 26,100 to 34,800 gallons a day, because a load is 7,500 to 8,700 gallons. When we load and unload, we had a vapor recovery hose at the loading racks, and the ones attached to the tanks unloading as well. Even with these safety measures in place from the EPA, you still have very much to breathe, as these chemicals all day and all night, at times in high concentrations, because gaskets and cam locks fail. Vapors come out of vapor tubes while unloading. Concentrations every time you open your hose caps and lids to the tanks, you breathe harmful hydrocarbons. Well, at the gas stations, if you ever look, you see those tubes coming up the ground by the fill tanks. That's where excessive vapors come from, and now you're breathing those. If they're in your wind direction, get away from them. Stop breathing them, because they are harmful to your health. I promise you that. Late in the year of 2014 or early 2015, I started to become sick. I did have a few incidents at Marathon Refinery. While loading gasoline, the area became heavily polluted with vapors so bad I made phone calls, because something went wrong with their vapor recovery system. My nightmare started one of those days. The vapor recovery system failed. I will never forget, because my health went downhill from after that exposure. I loaded like a normal day, but 5 minutes after I loaded and I left the refinery, I stopped breathing for a split second. I did not go to the hospital or seek medical care right away, because I was not sure what happened. From that time forward, I noticed I became extremely sensitive to gasoline fumes. I would randomly get a fluttering in my chest and a jugular notch while at work. I became very concerned. It had shortness of breath with it as well. After first becoming sick, I still worked like normal, but I paid extra careful attention which way the wind was blowing so I wouldn't inhale any fumes. I would hold my breath and leave the area if it became too polluted. This worked until 4/26/2015. I was loading at a gas rack in Cleveland at BP, holding my breath. As I unhooked the hose from my trailer, I inhaled. It was all fumes. I had so much pain inside my lungs. I went to the urgent care that night. They ran x-rays. Followed up at Jackson Family Practice later, since I left work that day, to be seen. They would not let me return for a week or two after that without medical evaluation. I expressed how bad the gasoline was bothering me to my supervisor and their medical doctor. I demanded a respirator to do my job from that time forward, May 2015. They fit tested me and issued me one. My health seemingly improved for a short period of time. I had applied to haul a dedicated diesel fuel account for CSX so I could get away from the gasoline. I wore the mask while loading inside the refinery, but not while unloading because I wasn't as sensitive to diesel as fuel as gasoline. Something was really bothering me at the CSX loading site in June 2015, July 2015. My lungs were burning so bad I couldn't figure out why for a while. I noticed there was the smell I was sensitive to at CSX unloading. Only happened when the wind blew in my direction over this fuel additive tank. I talked to other co-workers and asked them if they could smell it if it bothered them. They said yes, they smelled it, and some said no. Finally, I called to make a report that the fuel additive tank was possibly leaking. Indeed, it had ruptured. There was raw chemical in the dike of this tank. The man that came out from CSX had said he emptied the tank himself, but product remained in the contaminant dike. Now the placards on this tank were yellow. Yellow 0, blue 3, red 2. Yellow is reactivity, means 0. Blue 3 means extremely hazardous to your health. Red number 2 is the flammability factor. So it's flammable and it causes severe damage to your health. 4 is like immediate death. So this chemical is very hazardous. I was concerned for my health and for good reason. The fumes also caused a fluttering in my chest and shortness of breath. With impending doom, I almost collapsed next to this tank. It was horrible. I wore my respirator after I figured out what was hurting me from that time forward. The CSX company replaced the tank in 2015. A month later, in August 2015, I had a really severe episode in my personal car with my wife at the time as a passenger. We passed a gas station with a gasoline tanker unloading, and the fumes came into the car very strong. About 5 minutes after exposure, I became confused, pale, fluttering in chest, shortness of breath, extreme tachycardia. The episode lasted for an hour and a half. I did not go to the hospital because I didn't want any more medical bills. I was already burdened with medical bills that burdened my family. I used to haul the trailer that the guy was unloading with at the gas station that day. It was trailer number 19139. Apparently, though, just gossip, I did find out that that trailer number 19139 had a crack in the vapor recovery system. Possibly could have been a factor leading to my sickness. I became so sensitive to gasoline, car exhaust, even soil after this incident. I made an appointment with Jackson Family Practice. For my continued health problems I was experiencing, I expressed my continued problem with gasoline, shortness of breath, lung pain, fluttering in the chest. At one appointment, one of the doctors caught my tachycardia, referred me to have heart testing done. I had a Holter monitor, stress test. Beginning of 2016, they diagnosed PVC's SVT. Never caught fluttering on the Holter monitor. The doctor told me I needed a beta blocker. I kept on getting the runaround. Then my family doctor, they said, oh, it's anxiety, it's asthma. As I kept getting symptoms and returning for help. After the heart testing, I kept going back in 2016. They started doing some blood work and found low thyroid problems. I got referred to an endocrinologist who ran some tests and said it was no big deal, not real serious. I had a second opinion with an ultrasound. That came back normal. From my research, from my exposure, the petrochemicals would indeed cause hypothyroidism. I used acid inhalers, which did not work, continued to have breathing problems around gasoline and car exhaust. I went to find more help and got an internal medicine doctor in 2016 to see if he could help solve some of what was going on. I had a test done for asthma, and that was with methacholine. I passed the methacholine challenge all the way past 25 milligrams. It didn't bother me much. This debunked the asthma myth at Jackson Family Practice, as well as the pulmonologist I seen. I do have ankylosing spondylitis, so when I got a flare-up sometimes, Pulmicort helps. It's a steroid inhaler. I continued to work with this respirator on my face from May 2015 to July 2016, when I had another exposure that ended my career as a fuel delivery driver at that company. I was out at the CSX terminal. They replaced the tank, so I thought I was okay. This is in the summertime, and remember, vapors are heavier than air. Sometimes I would have a faint whiff of the chemical, but nothing really strong. I would have my mask on, and I was over by the vapor recovery tube and holding my breath. No, sorry. Excuse me. Let me refrain. I didn't have my mask on because I went over there to hold my breath. Stupid me. I had no idea that I was about to be exposed. I didn't have my mask on, but I inhaled a pocket of chemical unexpectedly in my work area. It must have been coming out of that tank. The tank was higher than me. The vapor tube was higher than me, so it must have just been coming down in the atmosphere. The tank must have been pressurizing on that summer day. So it occurred to me that very second the vapors were heavier than air. I got really sick, and I went to the doctor. I had to go home from work because I called them and told them about my lung pain and I had trouble breathing. I went and begged for painkillers at my internal medicine doctor. He labeled me as a junkie and refused to see me as I asked for pain pills. I was in a lot of pain. The lung pain was so bad that I got what I believed to be a tramadol and took it. I told him the truth and he discharged me as a patient. I told him I had a tramadol from a friend, and so I was desperate for help. I couldn't get any help, so I self-treated myself, and I told the doctor that, and he didn't like that. So I made an appointment at Jackson Family Practice for my current situation. I took short-term disability paperwork because they were not going to let me return to work after I reported this chemical inhalation that I was already damaged from another time. A lady I'd never seen before filled out my paperwork for disability for my work incident. She looked at my past history and wrote allergic atopic asthma, said it will never go away, and she filled out the paperwork. I contacted a law firm and I filed a workers' compensation claim. I was so scared how I was going to feed my family and pay our bills. My career was over, and I wasn't going to be able to haul petrochemicals anymore. Jackson Family Practice refused to give my attorneys information, so they had to withdraw the claim of sufficient medical evidence. All this happened in the workplace. I currently am paying out thousands and thousands and thousands because of this. Right now, money isn't my main concern. Staying alive is. I took a temporary trucking job at Trillium Staffing, the temp agency I told you I worked for, driving and delivering stores for Starbucks in 9 of 2016. I noticed I had problems at work when in the drive-through area of Starbucks, becoming short of breath, chest fluttering, clearly coming from the pollution from the cars. It was related to my gasoline exposure. I got so sick at work, I ended up getting fired from the job in December 2016 because I had a fluttering and violated a DOT brake. I just wanted to get home. It didn't feel well. I didn't feel well. I went to the hospital later that night and they couldn't find anything. I took a new job a week later for the same company at Trillium Staffing, but a new client. I'd been to the hospital 5 or 6 times in the last 2 months because of this. This is getting worse. The trucks I drove have the old regen filters before the diesel exhaust fluid. They're loaded with hydrocarbons. I had episodes exactly like the gasoline or anything containing a benzene, with chest fluttering, trouble breathing, extreme tachycardia, and chest pain. I got sick from the exhaust on my wife's car one day, hint benzene, after a short exposure. Heart rate was 140 for hours, with chest pain and pain in my lungs like gasoline and the other chemicals containing benzene are causing. I am now wearing a mask on my face. Anytime I leave the house, in the car, or at work, I have a full self-contained breathing apparatus on. I have not had an episode since wearing this mask, but I cannot keep up life like this. I need help, and that's why I contacted Poison Control. Well, I tried some beta blockers. That's my letter to Poison Control. I want to share that with you guys. That was my life in the end of 2016, 2017, and my life it's much more difficult today. It was difficult back then. I lost the ability to keep a respirator on my face all the time. Much like this here. Because if I wear this too long, I'll show you. It's hard on your heart and your lungs to wear this. I mean, I was driving a truck for years wearing this on my face for 14 hours a day sometimes. Can you imagine doing that? I mean, I wanted to take care of my family. Can you imagine wearing that on your face for 14 hours a day? Your face hurts. So sometimes it's a struggle to eat. It's very uncomfortable. But I did it because it helped mitigate what I was going through sometimes, you know, and I was desperate to take care of my family. I couldn't get disability because I couldn't get accurate diagnosis, you know, so I've tried the best that I could for a very, very long time. Nobody can ever say, Matt, you didn't try. Oh, I've tried. I fought with everything inside of me. Believe that. But I'm discouraged because it gets worse, you know. Now I'm so sensitive. I walk into the store, and if I started wearing these masks, these N95 masks. Now, they don't keep out petrochemicals or anything oil related or hydrocarbon related, but they keep out particulate matter 2.5. They keep out microparticle, you know, like dust. They keep out mold, stuff like that from the ventilation, because you still get particulate matter 2.5 and ventilations in stores. And if you look up, you see black in the ventilation. It's very nasty. That stuff will start giving me surges in my thyroid, whacking my nervous system, causing some chest pains and rhythm disturbances. I almost collapsed the other day. I went into Raising Cane's and I almost collapsed in there. You know, they fry everything, so fryers pollute indoor air quality. You know, they use gas fryers. I can't even work at McDonald's because of the indoor air pollution from the fryers and the grills, the gas stuff. I can't even do it. I've tried. If I could work a fast food job 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, I would love to. If the indoor ventilation is not clean, I can't do it. I'm constantly changing air filters at home, making sure my air quality is clean in the cars, changing air filters in the cars. Please like, share, subscribe. Please donate if you can. I'm still trying to get medical help. The insurance doesn't like to cover a lot of things. Like I'm waiting for an MRI right now. I need an MRI, and that's tens of thousands of dollars to get an MRI. I wanted to see this damage in my brainstem. They're like, now I'm trying, they're setting me up appointments, going to physical therapy, jumping all kinds of through hoops, for my ankylosing spondylitis, trying to get an MRI. They're like, they just can't. It's hard to get medical treatment in this world. Nobody wants to really help you when it comes to insurance. All they want to do is deny, deny, deny. And it's like, the people that should have helped me from workers' comp failed me. The system of this world has failed me. This toxicologist, Hannah Hayes, failed me. I even reached out to another toxicologist after her. His name was Gerald Lycan. He was in Chicago. I remember these people's names. He said, you should have no hope for me if she couldn't do anything for you. She didn't even try. She laughed about it. My heart rate was doing 140 beats a minute. I'd rode 2 hours to see her and 2 hours back home. It was terrible for me. I was really struggling, and I reached out for help, and I went bankrupt trying to get help. I lost my career. My health didn't have to get this bad. If somebody would have just stepped in and done their job, I might have been able to preserve some of my neurological function and didn't have to get this bad. It's not just driving a truck. I have issues with ankylosing spondylitis that makes it worse too. I can't, anything that increases the inflammation makes my problems worse neurologically. I believe some of that is neuroinflammation. My spine is completely deteriorated. I have really bad osteoporosis in my spine. I have fused halfway up my back. I have a lot of herniated discs. In my neck, I'm getting a lot of pain. I get pinched nerves. It's hard to function just on a day-to-day basis. And then you get the neurological problems on top of it. I get discouraged. It's like, oh, just get disability. Have you ever waited for disability? How many of you out there watching this have gotten disability? How long did it take you? Who paid your bills in the meantime? Because the bills aren't going to stop. Did you have a wife to take care of you, a husband to take care of you, a mom or a dad or a rich brother, cousin, or uncle, or somebody to take care of you? I don't have those resources. Nobody's going to take care of me unless I get out here and go to work. That's why I have that GoFundMe posted. Please, if you can, anything helps. All right. Have a good day. Take care. God bless.